Eso. Venga. 5, venga. 1, 2.
Canelo Alvarez is putting in intense, focused training as he prepares for the upcoming fight against Terence Crawford. With his eyes set on victory, he's fully dedicated to delivering a decisive knockout. As Canelo continues to refine his strategy, former trainer of Gennady Golovkin, Abel Sanchez, shared his insight on the fight. "I think Canelo will stop him, and it's not because Terence lacks talent. Terence is a skilled fighter, but we are talking about a big man, used to fighting against other big men. Eventually, he will catch Crawford, punish him, and hurt him," Sanchez stated. With such a powerful puncher like Canelo in the ring, Crawford's speed and skills may not be enough to outmaneuver him for long. The size and power advantage Canelo brings could prove to be too overwhelming for Crawford, who's used to dominating smaller fighters. As the fight progresses, it seems inevitable that Canelo will land a decisive blow. This fight is shaping up to be a battle of tactics, strength, and sheer willpower. As the anticipation builds, Terence Crawford himself weighed in on Canelo's abilities and strengths ahead of their showdown. For Crawford, it's clear that Canelo brings a lot to the table.
With Canelo Alvarez, we all know Canelo is great. We all know he's big. We all know he's strong. He got good timing. He got good punching power. He moves his head well. He's a good counter puncher. We all know all that things about Canelo.
Crawford acknowledges the impressive attributes Canelo possesses, from his power to his head movement and counter-punching skills. But Crawford isn't backing down. He knows he has the tools to overcome Canelo's size and strength. With his own elite skill set, Crawford is ready to prove that size isn't everything. He's been in tough battles before and believes he can handle the pressure Canelo will bring. As the debate intensifies, Lonnie B shared his perspective on the potential outcome of the fight between Crawford and Canelo.
Is it possible that the guys like in here, especially the pound for pound kind of guys?
Yeah, like Crawford, anybody that good, you know, you can never count out like as good as Crawford. But we got weight classes for a reason, and I love Crawford. You know, even Canelo still being on the back end, I don't think that Crawford can beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, you know, that, and this, I could be wrong, but I look at the kid, Madrimov. Crawford was having a tough time.
Lonnie B respects Crawford's talent, but believes the weight difference will be a major factor. While Crawford is undoubtedly skilled, Lonnie feels that Canelo's size and strength will prove too much. He points out that even though Crawford is great, facing someone like Canelo at this stage might be a step too far. Despite his admiration for Crawford, Lonnie B isn't confident that Crawford can pull off a victory in this fight. Lonnie B continued to elaborate on his thoughts, predicting how the fight could unfold as it progresses.
That Crawford to be boxing good for the first half, but I think in that second half, you're going to take a lot of punishment. You know what I'm saying? I think Canelo hitting him on the hips, the shoulders, just he going to realize, I see why we got weight classes. To go up 2 weight classes, skip 54, 60, and go to 68, that's tough, because, you know Canelo going to rehydrate. What you think going to rehydrate to, 190? And so then you got to ask yourself this, is Crawford going to be strong enough to keep him off?
According to Lonnie, Crawford might box well in the early rounds, but as the fight wears on, he believes Canelo's power will take a toll. He predicts that Crawford will start feeling the impact of Canelo's hits on the body, especially to the hips and shoulders. Lonnie emphasizes how tough it is to jump up 2 weight classes and suggests that Crawford will struggle with Canelo's physicality in the later stages of the fight. Ultimately, he feels the weight difference will catch up to Crawford, and that's where Canelo could capitalize. Lonnie B shared more of his thoughts on how Canelo's pressure could affect Crawford in the later rounds of the fight.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, you know, in the later rounds, I think Canelo pressing, using his jab and getting hit with some hard jabs, and him got to go back to the corner and knowing, man, who's going to, and Crawford ain't going to stop him. Last time Canelo ain't never been stopped. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he ain't going to stop him, so I got to go out there for it again. And Canelo, do a lot of tricky stuff, and Canelo keep the pressure on you. And I think he better keep the pressure more on Crawford. So Crawford's a naturally smaller guy.
Lonnie believes that Canelo's relentless pressure and powerful jabs will begin to take their toll on Crawford as the rounds progress. He feels that Crawford will be forced to dig deep to keep up, knowing he can't stop Canelo. Crawford's size might not be enough to withstand Canelo's tricky style and constant pressure. Lonnie also highlights that Crawford, being the naturally smaller fighter, will face a tough challenge as Canelo continues to press him. In the end, he sees Canelo's consistent pressure wearing Crawford down. Lonnie B continued his analysis by emphasizing the importance of weight classes in boxing, particularly in this matchup between Crawford and Canelo. He stated, "I think that fight will go the same way, even though Crawford is extremely good. One of my favorite fighters, very good boxer. But we got weight classes for a reason. I believe in this. A good big man always beats a good small man." Lonnie makes it clear that while Crawford is an elite fighter, the size difference will be a major factor. He firmly believes that no matter how skilled Crawford is, Canelo's size and power will prove to be too much. The weight class advantage, in his view, will ultimately tip the scales in favor of Canelo. Despite his admiration for Crawford, Lonnie expects that Canelo's strength will be the deciding factor in the fight. Oscar De La Hoya also weighed in on the debate, sharing his longtime perspective on the challenge that smaller fighters face against bigger opponents.
Well, look, I mean, I've been in this game for such a long time, and I like to say I'm a historian. There's never been a good little man that beats a good big man.
De La Hoya, who has seen it all in his long career, makes a strong point about the size difference between Crawford and Canelo. He believes that history shows a consistent trend. A good big man will always beat a good smaller man. According to De La Hoya, despite Crawford's immense talent, the physical advantages that Canelo holds, particularly his size, will be too much to overcome. As a historian of the sport, De La Hoya's perspective carries weight, adding more fuel to the discussion about this highly anticipated fight. Oscar De La Hoya went on to acknowledge one notable exception to his theory, drawing from his own career experience.
I mean, the exception is maybe Pacquiao beating me, but that situation and scenario was like totally different. I was at the end of my career, and I was a shot fighter, and Pacquiao was coming up and he beat me. But a good little man, which would be Crawford, just has never beat a good big man, which would be Canelo. In the history of the sport, it just
De La Hoya points out that the only time he's seen a smaller fighter overcome a larger one was in his loss to Manny Pacquiao. However, he notes that the situation was unique. He was nearing the end of his career, and Pacquiao was on the rise. He stresses that, in general, history has shown that a good smaller fighter, like Crawford, has never beaten a good larger fighter, such as Canelo. De La Hoya's perspective adds depth to the ongoing debate, with his personal experience and historical knowledge backing his claim. Oscar De La Hoya also acknowledged just how monumental a win for Crawford would be if he could defy the odds against Canelo.
Now, if Crawford can do it, Jesus Lord, I mean, give this man, I mean, the title of being the greatest ever, you know? And then that's probably the motivation for Crawford. That's probably the motivation for his camp, for his, you know, for his corner, for his trainer, is that, look, if you beat Canelo, you can go down as one of the historical best fighters ever on the planet. I mean, that's enough motivation for any fighter.
De La Hoya recognizes that if Crawford can somehow pull off a victory against Canelo, it would solidify his place as one of the greatest fighters of all time. He believes that this prospect is likely a huge motivator for Crawford and his team. The chance to go down in history as one of the best ever is a powerful driving force for any boxer. De La Hoya emphasizes how significant this fight is, knowing that a win would elevate Crawford's legacy to legendary status. Oscar De La Hoya didn't hold back, giving his candid take on how tough this fight will be for Crawford against Canelo.
But I just don't see it as a fighter. I just don't see it. I mean, Canelo is a big puncher. You know, yeah, he walks on quicksand, and that's one thing that Crawford can use against him. But you know, the pressure of the heavier guy. Canelo will be 200 pounds up in that ring, you know? So it's a tough fight, but look, I give all the credit to Crawford. If he pulls that one off, Jesus, he'll be He'll be the messiah of boxing, of fighters, you know.
De La Hoya points out that while Crawford could exploit Canelo's vulnerability in certain areas, Canelo's power and pressure will be difficult to overcome. He mentions that Canelo will likely be around 200 pounds in the ring, which adds another layer of challenge for Crawford. Despite the odds, De La Hoya admires Crawford's talent and acknowledges that if he manages to win, he would earn legendary status in boxing. De La Hoya goes as far as to call him the messiah of boxing, highlighting the magnitude of the fight. As the critics keep doubting him, Terence Crawford made it clear how he handles the negativity surrounding his size and abilities.
Because I've been hearing this my whole career, that I'm too small for this guy. This guy's too strong, or this guy punches too hard. I don't got no chin, or I'm this, I'm that, you know? So I just suck it all in and just laugh, because those fighters and those people that have this negative thought of Terence Crawford never been in the ring before. So it don't even bother me.
Crawford reflects on the constant criticism he's faced throughout his career, being told that he's too small or lacks the power to compete with bigger fighters. But instead of letting it affect him, Crawford brushes it off, pointing out that those making these remarks have never been in the ring themselves. He finds it laughable that people continue to doubt him, showing that he's confident and unfazed by the naysayers. For Crawford, these challenges only fuel his drive to prove everyone wrong. Crawford also addressed the expectations around his size and how he plans to handle Canelo's physicality in the fight.
If I'm not supposed to be in that weight division, you know, Canelo can say what he say. You know, he have the right, but
he just doesn't feel like you're a 54 pounder. He believes that your real weight class, and again,
my real weight class is 168.
Canelo trolling. maybe.
Crawford points out that as the bigger fighter, Canelo should have been more aggressive in the ring, walking him down and bullying him if he truly believes Crawford doesn't belong in that weight division. He acknowledges that Canelo is entitled to his opinions, but suggests that simply talking about it isn't enough. Crawford's confidence shines through as he challenges Canelo's mindset, emphasizing that he plans to prove everyone wrong by showing up ready for the battle. This comment reflects Crawford's determination to stand his ground, despite being considered the underdog. Crawford continued to challenge the narrative around his size, revealing his thoughts on his true weight class and the doubts he's faced.
You know what I mean? So I want to know. I just want to know if I'm too small for 168. Yeah. I just want to know. You know, a lot of people, my whole life, been doubting me. I know I'm small. I know I'm smaller than Canelo. I know I'm smaller than these guys and whatnot, but
yeah,
you know, that's the obvious.
Yeah, but Canelo's pretty short too. Canelo's your height too.
We're the same height. We're the same height.
Exactly, for a 68 pounder.
Yeah.
You know, but he is a freaking boulder. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a thick kid.
Yeah, we know that. That's something that we all.
Crawford reflects on how many people have doubted him throughout his career, especially regarding his size. He mentions that while he knows he's smaller than Canelo and other top fighters, he still wants to test himself at higher weight classes, like 168 pounds. Crawford admits that his size is the obvious difference, but he's determined to prove that being smaller doesn't limit his potential. His mindset shows that he's ready to take on the challenge, regardless of what others think. Crawford made it clear that his goal in the fight is to win, not necessarily to score a knockout, but he knows the possibility is always there. He stated, "I don't got to stop him, I just have to beat him. I'm not going in there looking for the KO. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely." Crawford's focus is on winning the fight regardless of how it happens. He emphasizes that while a knockout is always a possibility, he's not solely focused on achieving that. His confidence shows that he's prepared for any outcome, knowing that as long as he wins, he'll prove everyone wrong. This mindset highlights his strategic approach to the fight, aiming to outbox Canelo rather than chase a dramatic finish. Crawford also analyzed Canelo's style, comparing him to other fighters and breaking down his approach to moving up in weight classes.
You know, when I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. You know, being that these big guys is slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it at the last moment. You know, they might catch him with a hard shot, but he's able to roll and turn with it. You know, because he's coming from a smaller weight class that was faster, that was sharper, You know, I'm coming from a smaller weight class that's faster and sharper. So if he get hit with a sharp punch that he don't see.
Crawford explains that while Canelo has adjusted well to moving up in weight, he's still a smaller, bigger guy who benefits from his speed and sharpness. He recognizes that bigger fighters might catch Canelo with some hard shots, but Canelo's experience allows him to roll with the punches. Crawford points out that, like Canelo, he also comes from a smaller, faster weight class. This could give him an edge if he lands a sharp punch that Canelo doesn't see coming, showing that Crawford believes he can exploit any opening in Canelo's defense. Crawford continued to assert his confidence, explaining that despite Canelo's strength, he is still very much human and capable of being hurt.
He's definitely capable of getting hurt. He's not a machine. He's human just like me. He bleeds just like me. So I'm not going in there thinking, oh, I can't hurt this guy. But I'm not going in there at the same time. I'm trying to knock him out. I'm trying to, you know, fight my fight. And if the knockout is there, then of course I'm gonna take it.
Crawford makes it clear that while he respects Canelo's abilities, he doesn't view him as invincible. He acknowledges that Canelo, like any other fighter, can be hurt and that he bleeds just like everyone else. Crawford says that he's not entering the fight with the sole focus of knocking Canelo out, but instead he's concentrating on fighting his own fight. However, if the opportunity for a knockout presents itself, Crawford is ready to take it. This approach shows his strategic mindset, balancing confidence with control. Crawford also shared his thoughts on the magnitude of his upcoming fight with Canelo, emphasizing its significance in the boxing world.
Terence Crawford, Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing right now today. There's no other fight out there that's bigger than Canelo.
So you think
Crawford.
your fight would do bigger numbers than Benavidez Canelo?
100%. 100%. Let me tell you. African American, Mexican, they always made for the biggest fights in history. Going way back to Pernell Whitaker, Chavez.
Yeah.
You know, so it's gonna be, you know what I mean, electrifying.
Crawford believes that his fight with Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing today, claiming that there's no other match that can top it. He confidently states that this fight will do bigger numbers than the Canelo versus Bivol fight, pointing to the deep rivalry between African American and Mexican fighters that has produced some of the sport's greatest moments. Crawford draws on historic matchups like Whitaker versus Chavez, highlighting that this fight has the potential to be electrifying and one for the history books. His excitement reflects just how much he believes in the significance of this showdown. Crawford reflected on the legacy he aims to create with his fight against Canelo, seeing it as more than just a match, but a historic event.
I'm looking at the bigger picture. You know, this is a legacy fight. This is a generational fight, you know, that will be talked about for years.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm gone, they'll talk about, man, you remember Crawford coming up to 168 and fighting Canelo, you know, two top 5 pound for pound fighters in the world in their prime fighting each other. Like, man, that's...
Crawford views this fight as a pivotal moment in his career, one that will be remembered for generations. He calls it a legacy fight and a generational fight that will be talked about for years to come. Crawford envisions that when he's gone, people will still be discussing his move up to 168 to face Canelo, with both fighters in their prime and at the top of the pound for pound rankings. This shows Crawford's awareness of the historical importance of the fight and his desire to leave a lasting mark on the sport. Tim Bradley shared his thoughts on Crawford's place in boxing history, praising him for being one of the most skilled fighters of his era.
It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I told him he was gonna be pound for pound #1, but I didn't know he was gonna be like legendary.
Yeah, I mean he literally is of his era, which I don't think his era. He's the best of his era, and I don't even think it's a conversation. In his weight range, he's the best of his era. You know what I mean? He might be the best of his era regardless of the weight range. You know, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy.
Who in their right mind have more skills than him?
Yeah.
There's no boxing that has more skills than Crawford.
Bradley acknowledges that he always knew Crawford would be #1, but he didn't expect him to become a true legend. He believes that Crawford is not just the best of his era in his weight class, but possibly the best of his era overall. Bradley emphasizes that Crawford's skill level is unmatched, stating that no one in boxing possesses more skill than him. His admiration for Crawford shows just how highly Bradley regards his abilities, further solidifying Crawford's place among the sport's all-time greats. Tim Bradley further praised Crawford, highlighting his toughness and mentality in the ring.
Yeah, Crawford is a complete fighter, and the intangible.
Dog. Dog. He's dog. Yeah, he's dog.
That's important.
Yeah. Because like you were saying with Big Bang, like Big Bang don't like to get hit.
He don't.
And you can tell. And even as big as he is, you can tell.
Look, Big Bang can punch, and that's what scares people.
Bradley describes Crawford as a complete fighter with the heart of a true dog, meaning he has the grit and determination to battle through any situation. He contrasts Crawford's mentality with that of other fighters, like Big Bang, who don't like to get hit. Bradley points out that despite Big Bang's punching power, Crawford's ability to handle tough situations and keep fighting is what truly sets him apart. It's this doggedness combined with his skill that makes Crawford so dangerous in the ring. Crawford reflected on the challenge ahead, expressing his desire to defy the odds and change the narrative in boxing. He stated, "It's gonna be amazing like they always say. You never see a great small guy beat a great big guy, and I want to change that." Crawford is fully aware of the historic nature of this fight, knowing that many believe a great smaller fighter can't defeat a great larger fighter. But rather than being discouraged by this, he's determined to prove everyone wrong and rewrite boxing history. His confidence in his ability to overcome Canelo's size speaks volumes about his belief in his skills and his readiness to take on this monumental challenge. Crawford's mindset shows that he is prepared to make a statement and cement his legacy. The fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is shaping up to be one of the most exciting and talked about matchups in recent boxing history. Both fighters bring incredible skill, power, and determination to the table, and it's clear that Crawford is determined to prove that a great smaller fighter can beat a great bigger fighter. This fight has the potential to be a game changer and will definitely leave a mark on the sport for years to come. Crawford's confidence and ability to handle challenges make him a dangerous opponent for Canelo despite the size difference. However, Canelo's power and experience cannot be underestimated. With both fighters at the top of their game, this will undoubtedly be a battle of not just physical strength, but strategy and willpower. What do you think about this epic showdown? Can Crawford defy the odds and overcome Canelo's size advantage? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.